The Trojan Horse. The vast emptiness of space stretched out before the Galactic Council's flagship, the Celestial Hammer. Its sleek, crystalline hull gleamed under the light of distant stars, a testament to the advanced technology of the Council's united alien races. On the bridge, High Commander Zix Loria surveyed the holographic displays with a sense of smug superiority. The Galactic Council had ruled this sector of the galaxy for millennia, and no upstart species had ever challenged their dominion. Until now. A blip appeared on the long-range scanners, catching the attention of a junior sensor officer. "High Commander," the officer called out, their tentacles rippling with excitement, "we've detected an unidentified vessel entering the outer reaches of the Proxima system." Zix Loria's compound eyes narrowed as she focused on the new data stream. "Origin?" she demanded, her voice a mix of curiosity and disdain. The officer's tentacles writhed as they processed the information. "Unknown, High Commander, but the energy signature matches no known species in our database." A murmur of unease rippled through the bridge crew. The Galactic Council prided itself on its comprehensive knowledge of all spacefaring races. An unknown ship was unprecedented. "Bring us closer," Zix Loria ordered, her mandibles clicking with anticipation. "Prepare boarding parties. Whatever this vessel is, its secrets will soon be ours." As the Celestial Hammer glided through space towards the mysterious ship, more details became apparent. The vessel was small, barely larger than a standard scout ship. Its hull was pitted and scarred, bearing the marks of countless micrometeorite impacts. It tumbled slowly end over end, as if its stabilizers had failed. "Life signs?" Zix Loria inquired, her antennae twitching with curiosity. "Faint, but present," came the reply. "The ship's power levels are critically low. It appears to be on emergency life support." A predatory gleam shone in Zix Loria's eyes. "Perfect. They'll be in no condition to resist. Prepare to bring them aboard." As the Celestial Hammer drew alongside the battered vessel, the aliens got their first clear view of its design. It was unlike anything they had ever seen, a hodgepodge of angular plates and protruding sensor arrays, with no clear aesthetic beyond pure functionality. "Magnify that section," Zix Loria commanded, pointing a clawed appendage at a particular part of the hull. The image zoomed in, revealing a series of strange markings. "Translator, analyze," she ordered. After a moment, the ship's AI responded. "Translation complete. The markings read, UES Trojan Horse." Zix Loria's mandibles clicked in amusement. How quaint. They named their ships after primitive beasts of burden. Little did she know that this name held a significance that would soon shake the foundations of the Galactic Council's power. As the tractor beams locked onto the UES Trojan Horse, drawing it into one of the Celestial Hammer's cavernous docking bays, a flurry of activity erupted throughout the alien flagship. Xenobiologists prepared containment units, eager to study whatever life forms they might find aboard. Security forces stood at the ready, though they hardly expected resistance from a crew in such dire straits. The Trojan Horse settled onto the deck with a gentle thud, its hull creaking ominously in the pressurized atmosphere of the docking bay. A hush fell over the assembled alien crew as they waited for the first glimpse of the ship's occupants. Minutes ticked by, but there was no sign of life from within the battered vessel. Zix Loria's patience wore thin. "Force entry," she commanded. "I want to know what secrets this ship holds." A team of engineers approached the Trojan Horse, plasma cutters at the ready. Just as they were about to begin slicing through the airlock, a loud hiss emanated from the ship. The airlock cycled open of its own accord. The security team tensed, weapons raised. From the depths of the ship emerged a figure that caused even the battle-hardened aliens to take a step back. It was Bipedal, encased in a bulky suit that obscured its true form. Its helmet was opaque, reflecting the shocked faces of the aliens that surrounded it. In its arms, it cradled a device of unknown purpose. Zix Loria pushed her way to the front of the crowd. "I am High Commander Zix Loria of the Galactic Council," she announced, her translator converting her clicks and whistles into a frequency the newcomer could understand. "Identify yourself and your species." The figure stood motionless for a long moment. Then, with deliberate slowness, it reached up and removed its helmet. The face beneath was unlike anything the aliens had ever seen. It was flat, with a protruding nasal structure and a mouth full of blunt teeth, but it was the eyes that captured their attention. Two forward-facing orbs that seemed to burn with an inner fire. "I am Captain Alina Reyes of the United Earth ship Trojan Horse," the being announced, its voice carrying an undercurrent of strength that belied its battered appearance. "And I bear a message from humanity to your Galactic Council." Zixloria's antennae twitched with interest. A message? And what might that be? A smile played across Elena's lips, an expression that sent an involuntary shiver down Zixloria's exoskeleton. "It's quite simple, really," Elena said. "Humanity rejects your claim of authority over our sector of space. We will not bow, we will not submit, and we will not go quietly into the night." Before Zixloria could respond, Elena lifted the device in her arms. "And to underscore our point, we've brought you a gift." With a flick of her wrist, Elena activated the device. A high-pitched whine filled the air, causing the aliens to clutch at their auditory organs in pain. The lights in the docking bay flickered and died, plunging the area into darkness. When emergency power kicked in moments later, Elena and her device were gone. In their place stood a holographic projection, displaying a countdown timer with less than 5 minutes remaining. Panic erupted on the bridge of the Celestial Hammer as alarms blared. "High Commander," a frantic officer called out. "We're detecting massive energy buildups throughout the ship. It's as if our own systems are turning against us." Zixloria's mind raced as she tried to comprehend the situation. How could one small ship, one lone human, have done this? And then the true meaning of the ship's name hit her like a plasma bolt. Trojan Horse. Not a beast of burden, but a strategy of deception and infiltration. As the Celestial Hammer systems began to overload one by one, a new signal cut through the chaos. Hundreds of ships were dropping out of faster-than-light travel, their weapons charged and locked onto the now vulnerable flagship. The human fleet had arrived, and the real battle was about to begin. In those final moments before chaos engulfed her ship, High Commander Zixloria realized a terrible truth. The Galactic Council had gravely underestimated humanity. They weren't simpering primitives to be conquered, but a force of nature that had been planning this moment for years. As the first salvo of human weapons streaked towards the Celestial Hammer, Zixloria couldn't help but feel a grudging respect for the sheer audacity of the human plan. They had turned the Council's arrogance against itself, using a single ship as both a scout and a delivery system for their cyber attack. The age of unchallenged Galactic Council supremacy was over. The era of humanity had begun. The Hidden Dagger. As chaos erupted aboard the Celestial Hammer, Captain Alina Reyes sprinted through the labyrinthine corridors of the alien flagship. Her heart pounded in her chest, a mix of adrenaline and fear coursing through her veins. The plan had worked perfectly so far, but the most dangerous part was yet to come. She skidded to a halt before a nondescript panel, her fingers flying over the alien controls with practiced ease. Years of studying stolen alien tech had prepared her for this moment. The panel slid open, revealing a small, sleek spacecraft, her ticket out of this soon-to-be space debris. As Alina strapped herself in, she allowed herself a grim smile. Trojan Horse to Olympus, she spoke into her comm unit. Phase 1 complete. Initiating exfil. Back on Earth, in the hidden underground command center known as Olympus, Admiral John Chen leaned forward in his chair, his eyes fixed on the holographic display before him. Dozens of officers worked feverishly around him, coordinating the most audacious military operation in human history. "Copy that, Trojan Horse," Chen replied, his voice calm despite the tension in the room. "You've done well, Captain. Get yourself clear. The fleet is standing by." As Alina's escape craft shot out of the Celestial Hammer like a bullet from a gun, The massive alien flagship began to convulse. Explosions rippled across its crystalline surface as system after system succumbed to the virus she had unleashed. Admiral Chen watched the feed from Alina's craft with a mixture of pride and apprehension. Years of preparation had led to this moment. Humanity had reverse-engineered technology from a crashed alien scout ship, preparing in secret for the day when the Galactic Council would come to subjugate Earth. That day had arrived sooner than expected, but humanity was ready. "Sir," a young lieutenant called out, her voice tight with excitement. "Captain Ray's data package is coming through now." Chen nodded, his eyes never leaving the main display. "Analyze it. I want to know every weakness, every blind spot in their defenses." As Alina's tiny craft raced away from the dying celestial hammer, the true extent of humanity's hidden dagger was revealed. Hundreds of ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel, their hulls gleaming with a technology that melded human ingenuity with reverse-engineered alien tech. At the head of the fleet was the UEA's Excalibur, humanity's greatest achievement. Nearly as large as the celestial hammer, it bristled with weapons that the Galactic Council had thought impossible for primitive humans to create. Aboard the Excalibur, Fleet Commander Yuki Tanaka stood at the helm, her posture rigid with determination. "All ships, this is Excalibur Actual," she broadcast to the fleet. "The Trojan horse has given us the opening we needed. Commence Operation Righteous Fury." The human fleet surged forward, weapons blazing. Beams of concentrated energy lanced out, striking the celestial hammer with pinpoint accuracy. The alien flagship's shields, already weakened by internal sabotage, flickered and died under the onslaught. Back in the Olympus Command Center, Admiral Chen watched the battle unfold with a mix of awe and trepidation. The plan was working better than they had dared to hope, but he knew the real challenge was yet to come. "Sir," the lieutenant from earlier interrupted his thoughts. "We've decoded the data from Captain Rice. It's incredible. We have their entire command structure, weapons capabilities, even the locations of their primary worlds." Chen's eyes widened. This was more than they had ever dreamed of obtaining. With this information, humanity might not just survive the coming war, they might win it outright. But before he could fully process this revelation, alarms blared throughout the command center. Multiple FTL signatures detected. An officer shouted, "It's the Galactic Council's response fleet. They're here." Chen's jaw tightened. This was the moment of truth. Could humanity's hidden dagger strike deep enough to fend off the full might of the Galactic Council? In space, the battle took on a new intensity. The celestial hammer, mortally wounded but not yet dead, unleashed a barrage of exotic weaponry that cut through several human ships like tissue paper. Around it, newly arrived Council warships joined the fray, their advanced technology clashing with humanity's hybrid creations in a dazzling display of destruction. Aboard the Excalibur, Commander Tanaka gritted her teeth as her ship shuddered under enemy fire. "Status report," she barked. "Shields at 60% and holding," her tactical officer responded. "The reverse-engineered tech is working, but we're taking a beating." Tanaka nodded grimly. They had known this wouldn't be easy. "Focus fire on the celestial hammer," she ordered. "If we can take out their flagship, we might just break their morale." As the battle raged, Captain Alina Reyes' small craft docked with the Excalibur. She rushed to the bridge, vital intelligence burning in her mind. "Commander Tanaka," she called out as she burst onto the command deck. "The celestial hammer. It's not just a flagship. It's their mobile command center for this entire sector. If we destroy it, we'll cripple their ability to coordinate." Tanaka finished, a fierce grin spreading across her face. "Well done, Captain. This is the advantage we needed." With renewed purpose, the human fleet pressed their attack. The Excalibur led the charge, its advanced weapons punching through the celestial hammer's failing defenses. In Olympus, Admiral Chen watched the tide of battle turn. Humanity's hidden dagger, the years of preparation, the reverse-engineered tech, the daring infiltration, was proving sharper than even he had hoped. "Sir," An aide approached, holding out a secure comm unit. "It's the President." Chen took a deep breath before answering. "Madam President." "Admiral." The voice of humanity's leader came through, tense but controlled. "I've been briefed on the situation. The fate of our species hangs in the balance. Can we really win this?" Chen looked up at the holographic display, watching as human ships darted and weaved through the Galactic Council's formation, their hybrid technology allowing them to fight on equal footing against a foe that had dominated the stars for millennia. In that moment, he felt something he hadn't allowed himself to feel since this operation began: hope. "It won't be easy, Madam President," he replied, his voice firm with conviction. "But yes, we can win this. Humanity's hidden dagger has struck true. Now we press the advantage." As if in response to his words, a massive explosion blossomed in space. The celestial hammer, pride of the Galactic Council's fleet, broke apart in a spectacular display of light and fury. A cheer went up in the Olympus Command Center, echoed across the human fleet. But Chen knew this was just the beginning. The Galactic Council had underestimated humanity, had dismissed them as primitives unworthy of concern. That mistake would cost them dearly. Humanity's hidden dagger had been plunged into the heart of their oppressors, and they would not stop until they had carved out their place among the stars. The battle raged on, humanity's future hanging in the balance. But for the first time since the Galactic Council had appeared in Earth's skies, that future was looking brighter than ever before. David versus Goliath. The destruction of the celestial hammer had sent shockwaves through the Galactic Council's fleet. For a brief moment, the vast armada of alien warships hung motionless in space, as if stunned by the audacity of the human attack. But that moment quickly passed, and the full fury of the Council was unleashed. Aboard the UES Excalibur, Fleet Commander Yuki Tanaka gripped the arms of her command chair as the ship shuddered under the impact of enemy fire. "Status report," she barked, her eyes never leaving the tactical hologram before her. "Shield holding at 45%, Commander," her tactical officer responded, fingers flying over his console. "But we're significantly outnumbered. The Council is deploying their reserve forces." Tanaka nodded grimly. They had known this was coming. The destruction of the celestial hammer had been a significant blow, but the Galactic Council's resources were vast. This battle was far from over. "All ships, this is Excalibur Actual," Tanaka broadcast to the human fleet. "Form up on me. We're implementing Maneuver Theta." As one, the human ships began to move, forming a complex, three-dimensional formation that seemed to shimmer and shift before the eyes. This was the product of years of research into alien sensor technology, a formation designed to confuse and misdirect enemy targeting systems. In the Olympus Command Center on Earth, Admiral John Chen watched the battle unfold with growing concern. The human fleet was holding its own, but the sheer number of enemy ships was staggering. "Sir," a young lieutenant called out, her voice tight with urgency, "we're detecting a massive energy buildup in the enemy fleet. It's like nothing we've ever seen before." Chen's blood ran cold. This had to be the super weapon they'd heard whispers of in their intelligence reports. "Warn the fleet," he ordered. "Tell them to prepare for." His words were cut off as a blinding light filled the tactical display. A beam of pure energy, so powerful it distorted the very fabric of space around it, lanced out from the heart of the Council fleet. It struck a cluster of human ships, vaporizing them instantly. In space, Commander Tanaka stared in horror at the void where a dozen of her ships had been moments before. "What in the name of all that's holy was that?" she whispered. "Some kind of focused energy weapon, Commander," her science officer reported, voice shaking. It cracked a planet in the system behind us." Tanaka's mind raced. How could they hope to stand against such power? But even as despair threatened to overwhelm her, a new voice cut through the chaos on her bridge. "Commander, I think I found something." It was Lieutenant Raj Patel, a brilliant young officer who had been part of the team that reverse-engineered the alien tech. He was hunched over his console, eyes wide with excitement. Their weapon. It's powerful, yes, but it has a fatal flaw. The energy buildup before firing. It creates a momentary weakness in their shields, if we could hit them at exactly the right moment. Tanaka leaned forward, hope rekindling in her chest. How long do we have? Nanoseconds, Paddle replied. We'd need to fire the instant we detect the energy buildup. No human could react fast enough. A grim smile spread across Tanaka's face. Then it's a good thing we're not entirely human anymore, isn't it? She turned to her communications officer. Get me Admiral Chen. Now, back on Earth, Chen listened intently as Tanaka explained the plan. It was audacious, borderline insane. But then again, that described their entire operation. Do it, Chen ordered, and God help us all. The next few minutes were a flurry of activity as the human fleet reconfigured their systems. The neural interfaces that allowed pilots to fly with inhuman precision were pushed to their limits, directly connected to the ship's weapons systems. And then they waited. The Galactic Council, emboldened by the success of their superweapon, pressed their attack. Their ships advanced, weapons blazing, confident in their superiority. That's when humanity revealed its trump card. As the energy buildup for another planet-cracking blast began, every human ship opened fire simultaneously. Their weapons, a hybrid of human innovation and reverse-engineered alien tech, struck the Council ships at their most vulnerable point. The result was catastrophic. For the aliens, dozens of their largest warships erupted in flames, their shields collapsing under the precisely timed assault. But the human victory was short-lived. The remaining Council ships, realizing the threat, began to adapt. Their firing patterns became erratic, energy buildups initiated, and then aborted to throw off the human attacks. What had begun as a space battle quickly devolved into a knife fight in a phone booth. Ships on both sides abandoned formation, engaging in desperate, close-quarters combat. Aboard the Excalibur, Commander Tanaka was everywhere at once, coordinating attacks, directing defensive maneuvers, rallying her troops. Her neural interface burned with the strain, feeding her more information than any human mind was meant to process. Commander, her tactical officer shouted over the din of battle. 3 enemy cruisers, bearing down on our starboard flank. Tanaka's mind raced, calculating trajectories, weapon yields, shield strengths, all in the blink of an eye. Rotate 60 degrees port, she ordered. Concentrate fire on the lead ship's propulsion systems. The Excalibur moved with a grace that belied its size, its weapons finding their mark with unerring precision. The lead alien cruiser faltered, its engines sputtering and dying. But even as it fell back, 5 more took its place. In the Olympus Command Center, Admiral Chen watched the battle with a mixture of pride and anguish. The human fleet was fighting with everything they had, displaying a level of skill and courage that would have been unimaginable just a few years ago. But the Galactic Council's numbers seemed endless. For every alien ship they destroyed, 2 more appeared to take its place. Sir, his aide approached, face grim. The President is asking for an update. What should I tell her? Chen stared at the tactical display, watching as the human fleet was slowly but surely pushed back. They had bloodied the Council's nose, shown them that humanity was not to be trifled with. But could they actually win this fight? As if in answer to his unspoken question, a new alert blared through the command center. Massive energy spike detected. An officer called out. It's coming from Saturn. Sir. Chen's head snapped up, eyes wide with disbelief. Saturn. That's impossible. There's nothing out there but... His voice trailed off as realization dawned. Project Olympus. The ultimate backup plan, a weapon of last resort that they had hoped never to use. As he watched, a new icon appeared on the tactical display. A ship, if it could be called that, larger than anything he had ever seen. It moved with impossible speed, crossing the vast distance between Saturn and the battle in a matter of moments. In space, both human and alien ships paused in their combat, all eyes drawn to the newcomer. It was a behemoth, a ship that dwarfed even the largest council vessels. Its hull gleamed with a metal unknown to either human or alien science, and energy crackled along its surface in patterns that hurt the eye to look at. Aboard the Excalibur, Commander Tanaka stared at the massive ship in awe. "What is that thing?" she whispered. As if in response, a new voice came over the fleet-wide channel. It was deep, resonant, and undeniably inhuman. "I am the Titan," it said, "and I stand with humanity." The battle was about to change once again. David had found his sling, and Goliath was about to fall. The Achilles heel. The arrival of the Titan had thrown the battlefield into chaos. Both human and galactic council forces stared in awe at the colossal ship that had seemingly appeared out of nowhere. Its size defied comprehension, dwarfing even the largest vessels in either fleet. Aboard the UES Excalibur, Fleet Commander Yuki Tanaka's mind raced. The Titan was an unknown variable, one that could tip the scales of this battle decisively. But which way would it fall? Her question was answered moments later as the Titan unleashed its first salvo. Beams of energy, unlike anything seen before, lanced out from the massive ship. They passed through the Council's shields as if they weren't there, cutting swaths of destruction through the alien fleet. "By all that's holy," Tanaka whispered, watching as Council ships were reduced to twisted debris in seconds. Then, snapping back to her senses, she keyed her comm. "All ships, this is Excalibur Actual. Form up on the Titan. Coordinate your attacks with its movements. Let's end this." The human fleet responded with practiced precision, their formation shifting to complement the Titan's devastating attacks. What had been a desperate holding action moments ago was rapidly turning into a rout. In the Olympus Command Center on Earth, Admiral John Chen watched the unfolding battle with a mixture of awe and trepidation. The Titan was turning the tide, yes, but its power was almost beyond comprehension. What had they unleashed? "Sir," his aide approached, tablet in hand. "We're receiving a transmission from the Titan. Well, you should see this for yourself." Chen took the tablet, his eyes widening as he read the message. It was a technical schematic, detailing the inner workings of the Council's superweapon. But more than that, it highlighted a critical weakness, an Achilles heel that could bring the entire weapon system crashing down. "Get this to Commander Tanaka immediately," Chen ordered, his mind already racing ahead to the implications. "And prep our best cyber warfare team. We're going to need them." Back in space, the battle had devolved into chaos. The Council fleet, reeling from the Titan's assault, had fallen back into a defensive formation around their superweapon. They knew as well as the humans did that it was now their only hope of victory. Aboard the Excalibur, Tanaka received the transmission from Earth. As she studied the schematic, a plan began to form in her mind. It was risky, borderline suicidal, but it just might work. "Lieutenant Patel," she called out to the young officer who had earlier discovered the weakness in the Council's weapon. "I need your expertise. How quickly can you write a virus based on these specifications?" Patel's eyes widened as he looked over the schematic. This is incredible, Commander. With this, I could create a virus that would not only shut down their superweapon, but potentially give us control over it." He paused, considering. "But we'd need to deliver it directly to their main control systems. There's no way to do that remotely." Tanaka nodded grimly. "Then we'll have to do it the hard way. Prep a shuttle. You're going in." As Patel rushed off to prepare, Tanaka turned to her tactical officer. "I need volunteers for a high-risk insertion mission. Our best pilots, our top combat specialists. We're going to punch a hole in their defenses and deliver a package right to their front door." The next few minutes were a flurry of activity as the mission was prepped. A sleek, stealth-equipped shuttle was loaded with a team of Earth's finest. At its heart sat Lieutenant Patel, surrounded by banks of computers, his fingers flying over keyboards as he put the finishing touches on the most important code he'd ever written. All ships, this is Excalibur Actual. Tanaka's voice rang out over the fleet-wide channel. Prepare for Operation Achilles. On my mark. Concentrate all fire on Sector 7G of the enemy formation. Create a gap for our insertion team. The human fleet tensed, weapons primed and ready. The Titan, seeming to sense the plan, moved into position, its massive form casting a shadow over the battlefield. Mark. In an instant, the void of space was filled with fire. Human ships unleashed everything they had, their weapons supplemented by the Titan's otherworldly technology. The Council's defensive line buckled under the assault, a small gap appearing in their formation. Shuttle Achilles, you are go for launch, Tanaka ordered, her voice tight with tension. Godspeed. The shuttle shot out of the Excalibur's launch bay, immediately going to full burn. It streaked towards the gap in the Council's defenses, juking and weaving to avoid the storm of weapons fire around it. Inside the shuttle, Patil gripped his seat, knuckles white. He was a programmer, not a soldier. The idea of flying into the heart of the enemy fleet terrified him, but he knew the importance of his mission. The fate of humanity rested on his shoulders. As they approached the Council's superweapon, alarms blared throughout the shuttle. Multiple hostiles on intercept course. The pilot called out, her voice trained but professional. Hang on, this is going to get rough. The shuttle rolled and spun, pulling maneuvers that would have torn a lesser craft apart. Enemy fire flashed past them, missing by margins measured in inches. But slowly, inexorably, they closed in on their target. There, Patil shouted, pointing at a section of the massive weapon. That's the primary access node. If we can dock there, I can upload the virus directly into their systems. The pilot nodded, adjusting their course. The shuttle screamed towards the access node, enemy fire intensifying with every passing second. We're not going to make it, the co-pilot muttered, watching as enemy ships closed in around them. But just as all seemed lost, a massive shadow fell over them. The Titan had moved to intercept, its bulk absorbing the hits meant for the tiny shuttle. Under its protection, Shuttle Achilles made the final approach, magnetic clamps engaging with a resounding thunk. We're docked, the pilot shouted. Lieutenant Patel, you're up. Patil didn't need to be told twice. He was already moving, connecting his systems to the Council's network. Lines of code flowed across his screen as the virus began its work. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, like a wave spreading across the battlefield, Council ships began to falter. Their weapons fell silent, shields flickered and died. At the heart of their formation, the superweapon's energy buildup suddenly reversed, the stored power turning inward. It's done, Patil breathed, hardly daring to believe it. The virus is in. We have control. Back on the Excalibur, Tanaka watched in awe as the Council fleet fell into disarray. The superweapon, once the source of their greatest fear, was now turning against its masters. All ships, she broadcast, her voice filled with fierce pride. The Achilles heel has been struck. Press the attack. Today, we win our freedom. As the human fleet surged forward, now supplemented by controlled Council ships, the tide of battle shifted decisively. The Galactic Council's invasion force, once seemingly invincible, was now in full retreat. In the Olympus Command Center, Admiral Chen allowed himself a small smile. They had done it. Against all odds, humanity had stood against the might of the Galactic Council and emerged victorious. But as reports of their victory began to pour in, Chen's smile faded. His eyes turned to the massive form of the Titan, still dominating the battlefield. They had won this battle, yes, but he couldn't shake the feeling that a greater challenge lay ahead. The Achilles heel had been struck. The seemingly invincible foe laid low. But as the dust of battle began to settle, one question loomed large in Chen's mind. What price would humanity have to pay for the power they had unleashed? Humanity's triumph. The vast expanse of space, once a battlefield of unimaginable proportions, had fallen eerily silent. The remnants of the Galactic Council's once mighty invasion fleet drifted aimlessly, their systems paralyzed by Lieutenant Patel's virus. The human fleet, battered but unbowed, stood victorious amidst the debris of war. Aboard the UES Excalibur, Fleet Commander Yuki Tanaka allowed herself a moment of relief. They had done it. Against all odds, humanity had stood against the greatest power in the known galaxy and emerged triumphant. "Status report," she called out, her voice hoarse from hours of issuing commands. "Enemy fleet is neutralized, Commander," her tactical officer responded, a note of disbelief still evident in his voice. "The virus has given us control of their systems. We've won." A cheer went up across the bridge, the sound of it echoing through the ship's corridors. Tanaka felt a smile tugging at her lips, but she quickly suppressed it. There was still work to be done. "Commence rescue operations," she ordered. "I want all surrendering Council personnel treated according to Earth's laws of war. And get me a secure line to Admiral Chen. He needs to know what's happened here." As her crew sprang into action, Tanaka's gaze drifted to the view screen, where the massive form of the Titan still loomed. The mysterious ship had fallen silent since the battle's end, its purpose fulfilled. But questions about its origins and the implications of its power weighed heavily on her mind. Back on Earth, in the Olympus Command Center, Admiral Jun Chen was already grappling with those very questions. Reports of the victory were pouring in from across the solar system, each one more incredible than the last. Humanity had not just repelled the invasion. They had utterly decimated the Council's forces. "Sir," his aide approached, tablet in hand. "We're receiving transmissions from Council worlds across the sector. With their fleet destroyed and the superweapon under our control, they're suing for peace." Chen nodded, taking the tablet. As he scrolled through the messages, the full scope of their victory began to dawn on him. This wasn't just a defensive triumph. They had broken the back of the Galactic Council itself. "Get me the President," he said, his voice quiet but firm. "She needs to know the full situation before we respond to these overtures." As the aide hurried off, Chen's gaze was drawn to a separate screen, one that displayed a continuous feed from the Titan. The colossal ship had been the key to their victory, but its sudden appearance and incredible power raised as many questions as it answered. His musings were interrupted by the appearance of the President on his main screen. Her face was drawn with fatigue, but her eyes shone with an inner fire. "Admiral," she greeted him, "I've been briefed on our victory. It's almost beyond belief." Chen nodded. "Madam President, the situation has developed further. We're receiving peace offers from across Council space. Their military might is broken, their leadership in disarray. We find ourselves in a position I don't think any of us could have imagined." The President's eyes widened as she absorbed the implications. "You're saying we could dictate terms to the entire Galactic Council?" "Not just that," Chen replied, his voice grave. "With the Council's superweapon under our control and the Titan at our disposal, we could reshape the political landscape of the entire galaxy." A heavy silence fell between them as the weight of the moment settled in. Humanity, in the span of a single battle, had gone from fighting for its survival to holding the fate of countless civilizations in its hands. "We need to proceed carefully," the President said at last. "Our goal was to defend Earth, not to become conquerors. We need to find a balance, to ensure our security without becoming the very thing we fought against." Chen nodded in agreement. "I concur, Madam President, but there's another matter we need to discuss." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "The Titan. Its power is unprecedented. We need to understand what it is, where it came from, and what its presence means for us going forward." As if on cue, a new alert blared through the command center. "Sir," an officer called out, "we're detecting massive energy fluctuations from the Titan." All eyes turned to the feed from space. The Titan, dormant since the battle's end, was coming to life once more. Energy coursed across its hull in mesmerizing patterns, building to a crescendo that made the sensors scream in protest. Then, just as suddenly, it was gone. Where the massive ship had been, there was nothing but empty space. "What just happened?" the president demanded, her voice tight with concern. Before Chen could respond, a new voice filled the command center, the same deep, resonant tone that had introduced the Titan during the battle. "People of Earth," it began, seeming to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. "You have faced your trial and emerged victorious. The power you now wield is great, but so too is the responsibility that comes with it." Chen and the president exchanged bewildered looks as the voice continued. The Titan was a test, a way to determine if your species was ready to join the greater galactic community. Your courage in the face of overwhelming odds, your ingenuity in overcoming superior technology, and most importantly, your restraint in the moment of triumph. All of these have proven your worth. The implications of these words began to sink in. The invasion, the desperate battle, the miraculous victory, had it all been some cosmic test? "You now stand at a crossroads," the voice went on. "The choices you make in the coming days will shape not only your future, but that of countless other civilizations. Choose wisely, for the eyes of the universe are upon you." With that, the voice fell silent, leaving the humans to grapple with this new reality. In the stunned silence that followed, Chen's mind raced. The Galactic Council, once seen as the ultimate power in the universe, was now revealed to be just one player in a much larger game. And humanity, in its desperate struggle for survival, had unwittingly auditioned for a role on a cosmic stage. "Admiral," the president's voice cut through his thoughts. "What do we do now?" Chen took a deep breath, weighing the enormity of the situation. "Now, Madam President, we do what humanity has always done. We adapt, we learn, and we move forward." He turned to his staff, seeing the same mix of confusion, fear, and excitement on their faces that he felt in his own heart. "Begin compiling all the data we have on the Council worlds. We need to understand the political landscape we're stepping into. And start analyzing everything we can about the Titan and its technology. If we're going to navigate this new reality, we need every advantage we can get." As the command center burst into action, Chen allowed himself a small smile. Humanity had faced extinction and emerged triumphant. They had proven themselves on the galactic stage and been found worthy by powers beyond their comprehension. The road ahead was uncertain, filled with challenges and opportunities beyond imagining. But one thing was clear: humanity's great adventure among the stars was only just beginning. In the vast tapestry of the cosmos, a new thread had been woven. Humanity, once confined to a single world, had taken its first steps into a larger universe, and the galaxy would never be the same again.